Good morning. Let's get started. It's the big day that we've all been waiting for in anticipation of what we've been told is 100% certainty. So shouldn't be a big deal. Everybody's going to get what they want. So we'll see if there's any surprises. The president has said he wants a big cut. All right. So let's see if he's going to get what he wants or not. Right. So if it's a quarter of a point, he's probably going to be mad tweeter. And if it's half a point, well, maybe the Fed chair will get to keep his job. Anyway, the markets aren't really doing much. Apple, as you all know, reported their earnings, and that is doing fabulously this morning, pushing up. It's been a little uncertain like everything else has been over the last several days. And I guess since last week, it actually looked like it was going to roll to the downside at one point last week. And so now it's come roaring back up 8 points. I'd be curious to know, almost 8 points historically, what its moves have been, whether that's within the norm, less than some of the positive moves it's had or not. Just kind of just curious as far as what that is or not. Anyway, things really spiders here yesterday moved down, and we covered here pre-market, and these pre-market reviews that we have can be exceptionally helpful, not only for the education that Dan and I share, but just the reference points and the simplicity of it to just say, hey, when I showed you yesterday, it's like, here's a range. It's at the bottom of the range. Buyers are going to be there. And if it breaks down through the bottom of the range after a half hour, I'll look for it to go lower. Otherwise, if it holds the range, it's likely to either go sideways or retrace back up. So it retraced back up, but it couldn't get through the top of the range. So now we've got a clearly defined trading range, on the spiders there, 302. And of course, I got to edit that and make the line red. It'll come up. Kind of makes it stronger with that color. So things are up here a little bit this morning, but, as I've said in the past, you look at a minder and say, oh, XYZ is up such and such, and that may seem impressive. And you look at the chart and you're like, well, did it even take out a prior day's high? Is it an inside bar? Is it going down? Does it take out the top of the range? And so on. So now what we have here, and it's still quite early, but maybe you're already thinking that is, and it's not the ideal since the left side is almost equal with the head, but, do we have a head and shoulders top playing out here? And we'll know, of course, I guess after 2 o'clock, if this breaks to the downside. And those tend to be kind of whippy moves, or is it off to the races back to the upside here? So a head and shoulders top, by definition, is a pattern that displays distribution. However, it's got to follow through and break to the downside. Many times these, I don't know about many times, but when they do fail and go up, they tend to go up significantly. So unless the spiders can get through this high or down below this low, you're just trading in place. You're just kind of running in place here, waiting for the news to see which way things will go. So far, our weekly chart is just a narrow range bar in the upper part of a green bar, and that's bullish. It's in an uptrend. We did get a breakout bar failure here, and it did trade under the low, but so far, here's something to take away from this pattern, and any pattern, is that from a daily chart perspective, that's black and white. It's called a breakout bar failure. Right? It's a green bar that took out the highs. It's an inside bar, and it traded below the low of the inside bar. Now, ideally, these don't gap down. Right? If they do gap down, they gap down a small amount, they hang out, and then they go. So, in other words, maybe it would have opened up, say, here, and then it falls down to the support. And historically, that's a short-term bearish pattern. Then they rattle around here, and then they fall to the downside. So the size of that gap there into the support brought in buyers. So when you hear about, okay, someone will show you, here's this pattern, right? Whether it's a candlestick book or it's a webinar you go to, and it's like, here's this great pattern, yada, yada. Well, the intraday structure, right, what I'm talking about right here, combined with that is going to have an effect on the reaction, as well as, did it gap down? Did it just trade down through? I'm talking about this type of pattern here. There's lots of patterns. So you start with a pattern that you see historically that has done something. You put it within the context of a trend, support, and resistance, and then you look at the intraday structure, which will give you some guidance as to the probability of how it's going to react in the moment. So you can go from there as to what's going to happen. Just give me a second. All right, let's move on. Clean this up. Qs, similar, not quite the same thing, but a breakout. And, had the bottoming tail bar yesterday, and here's the breakdown. And we got the same thing going on here. From yesterday, came down to support, move up into resistance, possibly head and shoulders, narrow range week here. Everybody's waiting for the Fed, and so on. Diamonds, we've got this grinding kind of bull flag, so to speak. It's above major support, it's above minor support. It had the run up. This is your flagpole. By the way, today's MT Live. This is actually going to be the subject of what Dan and I will be speaking about. So make sure you make it there at noontime. And this is supposed to be a bullish pattern. It's retested this several times, and so it's up here a little bit, and we'll see if this can get going. Of course, the Fed is going to have an influence on what's going on there. Transports holding up. They were the dog. They got slammed. Back up here. It's going sideways. We talked about this head and shoulders with the deeper retracement on this right part here that broke the low rather than the even lows. And so now we're just kind of going sideways for 3 weeks, and we're on hold, right? That's what we've been talking about all week, is that all of these markets, for the most part, have just been rattling around here going nowhere. And the Russell really gets the Mr. Schizo award, no doubt, with this pattern that began to break down. It came into the gap, but began to break down, rallies to the top with a gigantic wide range bar, gives it almost all the way back, comes back again, red bar, and yesterday's gap down rallies all the way through the top of the range. That is a picture of insanity, schizophrenic, call it, what do they call that when you've got 14 personalities? It's kind of what's going on there. So anyway, we've got a pattern here that strongly suggests that this is going to go higher. Thank you, Gary. Bipolar. Right? They call it maybe quadpolar over here. So a gap down and a rally back up above the highs. But remember the concept of a wide range bar. It's the weakest link in the chart, meaning it's a momentum move in a smaller time frame. So there is no support. So it has to create support. It has to create the support after the run. That's the bullishness of the 1, 2, 3 continuation pattern, is that the wide bar creates a void below. The number 2 bar creates the support, and the number 3 bar is the trigger that prices are ready to go higher. So we'll see if IWM is going to make the round trip back down, or whether it holds up here and the markets are going to all blast off. So theoretically, this Russell has the greatest potential to play catch up. Whereas we got this red bar ignored, this 180 reversal, we got a bottoming tail, assuming it holds through Friday or becomes a larger green bar that could take off and move well up into here. So there are other ETFs. I think H is one. I'm not sure if that's the mid caps or if that's another. Yeah, it's the mid cap, but that actually looks a bit better. You can see the same kind of wild movement there. They tend to move pretty close, but closer to the high. And if someone can, I don't remember the other small cap one, IJ whatever, but that tends to look a little better than the Russell. So anyway, those are some things you may want to keep an eye on. Looking at the futures, as we always do. I'm getting a little late here. Anyway, no biggie, right? Markets up here. Inside day, just more of going nowhere. Same story, different day. And Qs, same story. That don't even look right. Why does that look like that? Right? They're up, but this is below the close there. Doesn't seem right. Anyway, it's going sideways here. Dow, up after the bottoming tail bar. Sideways, sideways, sideways. And oil perking up here, right? Coming back up. Maybe some of these oil stocks that are getting crushed. Did you see? Dan, I don't know if you saw it. You probably did. Was it this yesterday? What the heck went on there? I don't know if they reported earnings, but these oil stocks, they've been a kind of a minefield, but that definitely looks like a giant turnaround. And it's in a downtrend, but looks like it's going to make a higher low. And so probably something to keep an eye on. A sector that's been underperforming, but that was like a monster bar yesterday.
Yeah, one of our subscribers mentioned it, and I said buy it on an intraday pullback.
Yeah.
Hourly is vertical.
Yeah, these things tend to have these amazing days and then go into comas because they're in downtrend. So you got to be patient with them. Don't expect another day like this. And bonds, just that's a coma, and it's waiting for the Fed, of course. And as we went through, it's consolidating at resistance and just chopping around here. Gold, it's perking up here. I think this probably changed contracts today, I believe, and so a little gap up into resistance. We'll see if it can get through it. And silver consolidating there. So overall, markets, bullish and uptrends, and lots of jiggles going on here. And we'll see. Here's the big day, whether the president's going to get his big cut or whether it's going to be a little baby cut or whatever it might be. And then we'll see how the markets adjust that noise. All yours, Dan.
That's funny. A big cut. I didn't hear that one.
Oh, yeah. He said he wants a big cut. And he wasn't talking about his hair.
All right. All right, this Z Zulu I had as a put spread, but it didn't trigger, and we can't do it. We cannot do a put spread for next week because it has earnings. Let's look at the weekly options trader. We got into Boeing yesterday. Beautiful engulfing here on major support after a nice fluid sell-off. We did two of them, actually. One for this Friday, one for next week. IWM, we also did a put spread yesterday afternoon. Amazon, we have a call spread, and we covered half yesterday morning when it started showing strength, and our other half is over prior day's high, and it looks like it's relatively flat, so it's not getting much benefit at all from the Apple news or the Q's strength. UNH put spread, and I moved the stop to yesterday's low, and same with Deere put spread, stop yesterday's low. That's all we got in the weekly. In the swing letter, ACN, I legged into a covered call yesterday. I see one little print up here. That would be great news, but you can't rely on it. It's not liquid. But if it were gapping up to 198 there, crowd put spread, GPS long calls as a swing. Same with KSS, but we have a call debit spread. MIC, we're short stock, and I've tightened the stop right here to 105. So I just gave it, a couple more pennies above this bearish consolidation. Miller Herman, we're long stock. It was looking very dicey yesterday morning. Now a nice close, bullish weekly and monthly. Slab, we legged into a covered call yesterday. STI, one of our bank stocks, long stock. TERP is a core trade, long stock. And finally, GE, I just gave this morning. I gave a half lot pre-market right about here. And we're going to do the other half lot 5-minute high. I like Pat's idea of selling out of the money call options. I like that idea a lot. But we'll see what it does. Let's see if it keeps running up, in which case we'll get a better price for the out of the money calls. But, a nice gap breakout of this multi-month trading range, daily, weekly. Look at the monthly. That's why I'm labeling it a core trade. It has a lot of resistance right here, but a wide range igniting bar. It's been going sideways for 6 months. So it looks good. Let's look at some other gappers. EGHT getting whacked, 2450, way the heck down here. It otherwise was a very bullish daily, weekly, monthly. So that's getting whacked today. EXTR, remember this is the one we talked about even yesterday, this bull flag right here. And I don't know if it's earnings today, probably, but if we were in this, gapping up here to this resistance, I'd sure be looking to take profits. C 242, that's a nice bullish gap, negating this breakdown. That's a nice put spread candidate. Let me write that down. This is the worst gap of the day I've seen. Yeah, Pacey, I don't care if he beat or if he missed it. I traded identically with the charts. I think this is what, one of these Chinese something or other, T-Wow, T-Woo. That is quite a shellacking. Wow. We might have to keep an eye on this. Look at that, it was $100 stock. 80% off the high now. MOH 146. This is a nice gap. This is a nice one. These big health insurers are whining about not making money. Yeah, right. Go look at their stocks. Greg, have you ever seen this thing? Wow. W workhorse. Look at this igniting bar. Then you got a kind of a W bottom here.
I tend not to look at 50-cent stocks. It's not a 50-cent stock anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I know it's not my style. Oh, our Boeing up $1.50. Nice. Beautiful uptrend here on the 15-minute. I got an email from one subscriber saying I went into too big a position size because I guess I got excited on the setup, but so that's good. If he reduces position in the strength now, it's going to be at a nice profit. Charlie Golf, $26. It's a bullish gap, but sloppy. We'll come back to it. D Delta, garbage. GE, we talked about. TAP. This was kind of a, this was bullish consolidation, but earnings, now it's getting whacked to the bottom of the range. Nasty downtrend on the monthly. SSYS 27. First looking thing here, head shoulder 149. That's a mess. Actually, spot might be, since it's gapping under this bullish green bar. Hey McGraw, what type of option trade maybe we can do on this? And I'm giving you a hint. Look at my arrow. No. Well, no, you didn't give the right answer, actually. Condor, Robert got you. Condor, let's see what it does. But I like the bearish gap under this green bar, and it's gapping in the middle of this major support, right? So we got to wait to see if we have a directional bias in the first 15 minutes. But if it just kind of slugs around and gives me a neutral bias, then sure, that's a condor. And then we'll be selling, expensive credit spreads on both sides. Particularly, our go-to is going to be for Friday. SO, big mess. We'll come back to it. JCI, gapping up a little bit, but it's a mess. Yeah, Humana, look, another one that's, complaining about not making money. This is actually a bull flag right here, sloppy one. But here's your flagpole. There's the angle. Retracement's it's a sloppy one. You got a bullish weekly, 303. That's a bullish gap, but is our UNH the same sector? So we got a put spread on this. Hess, it's a mess. Hess, hey, that rhymes. Hess, it's a mess. But McGraw, it's earnings. It's up 50 cents. I love this bottoming tail here. It was a false breakdown. Wide range igniting through resistance. This is a no-brainer. What? That is a no-brainer put spread candidate. Yeah, I need more space here now. All right, I put them on my other computer. Yes. Yeah, I got a couple here that I like today. All right, Q's coming in, and it would not be unusual at all to have a little retracement after this gap up. Garmin 83.50. Wow, look at this gap. Gapping just over this, even though I'm saying just over this, which is good. But I don't like the fact that, percentage-wise. But this is a bullish pre-market too. Let's keep an eye on Garmin for a put spread. That's a CME. Wow, I didn't know CME retraced this much. That would have been right here. These two bars would have been a beautiful call spread candidate. But then it had earnings. All right, GE coming in a little bit, so let's just let him stabilize. You see Echo Alpha here in the bottom right. If you can get the 90s off a put spread, AMT, put spread idea. I would even do the 205s. Yeah, I saw AMD down. I'm not done with all my earnings yet. Q's coming in. AMT 205s. Give me some juice. They must not be open because the 205s are still 115 by 130. There is no way he would give us 115 after earnings. Do y'all see that? So that's what it's telling me. The options are not open yet. Otherwise, I would hit that right now so hard, 2 days to expiration, the 205s. Yeah, trucks looked great yesterday. And we said, I didn't give it official, but I said that